All right, Design39 Campus. We are really excited to come to this school because one, it's beautiful, and two, they use the design thinking process in creating all of their lesson plans. The teachers are called learning experience designers. That's what they're called. And they have a lot of really amazing spaces to be able to use. So let's start by talking about spaces. No matter where you go in the classroom or in the school, there is something beautiful to look at or something that is organized neatly and excitedly. I don't know if that's a word. So they have what are called makeries, which are these spaces that kids can go in and use for different specific projects. And all throughout the school, everything is on wheels. Everything is designed to have two uses from the beginning. So all of these spaces that we're looking at right now are really common spaces where people can go and classes can congregate or small groups can congregate no matter what is going on throughout the day. Teachers are not tied to their classrooms. They are able to move around and do different things. This, for example, is the library, which is a beautiful space and has lots of different configurations that it can be in, and kids can come in and use that as they need to. So really exciting in the spaces. Like I said, everything has two uses for whatever piece of furniture they get, and that was part of the design process that they had. One of the big ideas that they have is that you reset the space after you use it, so that by resetting the space, you're able to put everything back where it was, out of the way on the sides, so that whenever you come in, you can have the space look however it needs to look for that day. One of the other things that was really neat was in the office and in other areas, there were these little places where people could congregate and gather and meet that were ad hoc meeting spaces that were really cool and fun to be at. So all throughout the school, lots of different places where people can go and do the things that they need to do in that space. Like other spaces, the classrooms are also very flexible. Each of the teachers has a cart that they can wheel around that has their projector and everything else on it. All of the tables are whiteboard on top so that you can do dry erase marker on top of them. And what's really cool is that they have these big classrooms that are double classrooms that have a divider. And while we were there, pretty much all the dividers were open, and there were two classes in there with two teachers. So lots of kids, lots of adult support, and as we were walking around observing, we saw most of the students engaged in the things that they needed to be engaged in. It was really cool to see all of that happening. When students were in these makery areas, like this one here, they were able to do the things that they needed to do in that room and had the tools close by. The expectations were that anybody who goes in there just, takes care of it. So in this classroom, you can see there's about 60 students in there, and they had two teachers, and it was, everybody was doing their thing. Classrooms are built for the purpose that they need, and so they bring in the supplies that they need to do what it is that they're doing that day during that time. In each classroom, there were not a lot of posters explaining expectations or things like that. What we saw were lots of posters explaining working agreements or showing student work or things like that. And so there weren't, big lists of classroom rules or things like that. There were different pieces of student work that were shown up all around, and there were lots of opportunities for kids to show off what they were doing, which was pretty cool. Also, what we saw in the hallways were students just walking around doing what they needed to be doing. No student passes, no anything like that. It was very flexible and loose in that regard. As I mentioned, they used the design thinking process for their whole entire school, from the creation of it to the creation of different blocks throughout the year for the lessons that kids are learning. to their lesson plans and all that kind of stuff. So they use the design thinking process for everything. They used it to create the school, to build the school, to buy the furniture, all of that. And it's definitely ingrained in their culture. And this is the adult design studio, not a faculty room, not a collaboration room, the adult design studio. And they have student design studios, which are their classrooms basically. And the whole idea is to use the design thinking process for all kinds of learning throughout the school, inside and out. And it was really amazing to see that that is actually the case, and that is truly what they do. And the teachers are not called teachers, they're called learning experience designers.